Guys, we're back for another episode of the Pelican Sports Report, and no introduction needed on here. Coach York joins us. You know this guy and what fun he brings to it. So, Coach, welcome.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Doug. Man, I'm so excited to finally be in the dugout. This is big time for me.
Look, for a football guy being in the dugout, that's got to be a little bit of a change.
No doubt, it is. I haven't been in a lot of dugouts since I think maybe like Little League baseball, but I'm glad to be in this dugout. That's for sure.
Look, and the AC's kicking in here too.
Thank
Even
goodness.
with a 6 o'clock practice, it still got warm out there.
No doubt. Look, it's really nice for about an hour, and then all of a sudden the humidity when that sun comes up, and it's like, it's only 7:30 or 7:15. It's like, wow, it's already this hot. Okay,
it's already
awesome.
this hot. And you guys you'll start some afternoon practices too, because heck, the scrimmage is just a week away.
Yeah, that's the thing. So we're trying to kind of, it's weird, this wet bulb stuff, and you're trying to dodge it a little bit, and it's this fine line, and it's something I never dealt with as a player because that wasn't a thing,
Right.
Even early on in my coaching career. But it's like, man, you're going to play a game at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or you're going to play a game at noon, or for, like you said, next week we're going to have a scrimmage at 2 o'clock. And these guys haven't been in that heat, and that's a different world if you haven't been in the heat. I don't understand why we have wet bulb issues for practice, but not for games. Doesn't make sense to me yet. Like, how do we get these guys acclimated to this?
And I think that was the biggest thing that aggravated you last year was that stupid wet bulb.
Yeah, it's a nightmare because, it completely adjusts everything you're doing. So, as in football coaching, we like to teach in a progression. So you're starting off in small groups or individual, then you're working to a little bit larger group, then to a little bit larger group, and then eventually to team. But whenever you get in that world, all of a sudden they tell you, hey, wet bulb just hit. We got, you only got an hour before we have to take off shoulder pads, or an hour before we have to take off everything. It's like, well, now we have to completely flip and reorient practice to where, all right, well, let's get team done. Let's get these things done so we can get on film and coach it later. And it just stinks for us as coaches because you ruin the progression of teaching.
And heaven forbid if your gauge is incorrect or whatever, because you guys got faced with it one of the first or second practices, and it was cloudy and overcast in early morning.
No doubt. That's the other part of it. And look, our school, they do a great job of trying to keep our kids safe. And
I think ultimately that's right.
No doubt. It is. It's a huge deal.
And make no mistake about it, that's not a joke. That's not something to play with as the safety of the kids.
But dang, man, I just wish we could practice. I still wish we could practice.
But you're right. You're talking about the staff. They do a great job. Matt does a wonderful job being there all the time.
I think Matt's one of the best athletic trainers I've been around. He's awesome, man. He takes care of our kids. And for a football coach, that can sometimes be a tumultuous relationship a little bit.
Right.
And he doesn't, man. He's a former athlete. He sees it like an athlete. His job is getting these kids back on the field as soon as he possibly can. And I think those guys, trainers that are like that, are the best trainers. He doesn't coddle our kids. He tells them, hey, that's an ice pack thing. Put some ice on it. Let's go to work. And that's good to have a trainer that's on the same page as us.
And he made it a point to speak day one. I say way back in July in the summer camp side of it. Look, my job's not to keep you off the field. My job's to get you back on the field. And I think it's key. Being a former athlete, he knows what it means to be in the game.
Absolutely. Look, the old saying, it's been this way forever. You can't make the club if you're in the tub. And so that's his thing, and he understands it more than anybody. He's like, guys, if you were a 1 or a 2 and here you are because you got a little nick or a bruise and now you want to be out for 4 days, that 3 or 4 is about to become the 1 and 2, and now you move down the depth chart. So I think that's super important to have a trainer that kind of sees it that same way as we do. But yeah, I love Matt, man. He's awesome. He does some of the best work I've seen in a long time.
All right, let's talk here. So primarily, you're offensive coordinator, offensive line coach. You take the running back, you're helping with running the receivers. Everything falls on that side of it. How's the offense looking?
Look, we're looking really good. We bring back almost every starter, which is important.
That's unheard of.
No, 100%. And look, and to be honest, we bring back every starter with a young team that we had last year. We had a lot of unknowns, a lot of new guys.
A lot of freshmen.
No doubt.
Last year.
So that was a big question mark for us. How good were we really going to be? Because you don't know.
Right.
We talk about time. You see highlight tapes from kids, and you think but high school football, college football, different,
Yeah.
And so you get this 18-year-old kid playing against 22-year-old kids. How is he going to pan out? And look, we did really good, and those guys all come back. So that's a big thing for us. So now it's been really cool for us as a staff because we don't have to go back all the way to basics right now. Now it's, hey, what's some things that we can tweak?
That's right.
What's some things we can add that because we brought everybody back. It even started that way in spring install. Like, hey, let's not go back all the way to ground one. These guys know ground one. What's some new things that we can do and add? So it's been good. Got some really phenomenal football players, some great kids. I mean, it's It's awesome. It really is awesome. I mean, the quality of kids that we have here, it's really second level. The defensive guys are amazing as well. They do a really good job, and it's it's a competition with everything we do, and I think that's a big part of it. I think that's how you become better. That's how we become successful.
One of the big questions I think was at tight end. How's that situation?
Yeah, it's been good. So we brought back one of our tight ends,
right.
Jaden Wells, who did play a lot for us last year, along with Xavier Jackson.
Yep.
So we bring him back, which is good, and then we have a tight end who was a freshman for us last year that played a very little bit. That's now stepping into a bigger role, Mason Hebert, who is, he is the epitome of. It's not about the size of the dog, but the fight in the dog. Because he's not a lot to look at on the hoof, but man, he is physical. He loves hitting people.
He will come around the corner and knock your teeth out.
Yes, that's his thing.
Yeah.
And so glad to have him back. So he's growing. And then, we got the young man from Ash, Grayson Thibodeau. And man, he's doing some really good things. He's a physical kid. And that's the hardest thing being a tight end for us is like, it's not glamorous. It's a lot of blocking. You're basically, to an extent, a glorified tackle or an undersized tackle. So not a lot of guys want to live in that world. They don't want to get their nose dirty. And if you don't want to do that for us, it's a struggle.
Yeah.
We're going to throw you a couple passes, don't get me wrong. But if you want to live in the world where you're going to get, 30 attempts a year, that ain't the place for you. Now we're going to run ISO, and you're going to get to feel that a lot. So those guys have been doing a really good job, and we brought back Noah Nava as well. He was an offensive lineman for us a year ago. We've converted him over. He's lost some weight. He's looking really good. And then Q Martin as well. And then we brought in another guy who, really good story with him. He was a quarterback originally, then went to D-line or vice versa. I can't remember, Xander LeBeau, and now we moved him over to tight end, and he's doing some really good things.
You guys do a great job of using the player where you need the player. And on day one, you've told these guys that, hey, look, you're part of this football team now. Your role may have been that, but now it may be this.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's something we do a really good job with evaluating as a staff.
Right.
And I tell high school kids this all the time. We're recruiting all across the country. It's like, hey, if you play multiple positions, great. Because just because you think you're this doesn't mean you might be this. And that's been the story of our whole offense. We have a lot of guys that, for O-line especially, like I think out of my centers, out of 5 centers, I think only one of them was truly a high school center. Wow. They were all other positions that I have converted, and vice versa, going the other way. And same thing with tight end. I think, for me, I want kids to have a positive experience. I want to win football games, but I want to have kids to have positive experience. And if I tell a guy, hey, you like being the number 7 wide receiver, or would you like to come try tight end and maybe be a 2 or 3? Right. Most guys are going, man, you know what? I'd love to have a chance to get on the field. And they do a really good job of that. And
they do it, and they get there, and they get some attention out on special teams. You guys are just putting athletes out there. I love that.
Absolutely. That's Coach Ben does our special teams, and that's a big part of it. Is we talk about as a staff, like, a lot of places they treat special teams as an afterthought, and that's not our case with us. Like our starters are going to be on special teams. It's important. If you think about it, as in the game of football, that is such a swing play. No matter what it is, if it's a punt, that's a swing play. That's changing field position, or that's a block, and that's a touchdown going the other way. Same thing on punt return. Same thing kickoff return. Again, returning a kick is a big deal.
Look, if folks don't think special teams and the punt game is important, all you got to do is look at that Panhandle State game last year when it goes from a blocked punt to a punt that's down inside, flips the field, and changes the whole perspective of the game.
Oh, absolutely. One of my first head coaches I ever worked for, he used to say this to us all the time, and I played for him as well. The first 3 games of the season one of the first 3 games will always be decided by special teams. And if you don't take it important and make that the case, then it'll show up, and that'll be the game you lose because something wasn't ready, or you weren't ready to sub, or there was something that wasn't covered. So if you're not treating special teams as important, then you're kind of playing behind the 8 ball. It's just the way it is.
There you go. We'll ask you one more question to wrap up, and don't worry. Coach York's going to be here with us throughout the season. I get used to him coming by the dugout, and we'll bring a lot. You're going to want to get inside that brain of his, and you can do it right here exclusively on 446. But what I want to ask you before we get you out of here is, there was a lot of tightness in July. Folks are getting to know the teammates. You're getting there now, whereas it's just the first day back because you came back Tuesday night, and then Wednesday it was the lightning that got you. So it was your first really day 1 of August. What's the difference from the first week of July where you're at now?
Yeah, it's what, I think that's what you're saying is the tightness. You're seeing these guys, it's always funny to watch. And I've done this everywhere I've been. We have the accountability partner system. I wanted to make sure I partner older guys with younger guys because, look, I was a freshman in college too. It's tough when you don't know anybody and you're moving away from mom. And so having a friend is important. And it was really cool to watch how this thing grew. So you go from first day in July to where nobody knows nobody and every freshman thinks they're amazing. And every senior, junior that's on our team. That's right. They were amazing, 100%. But then they forget that they're back to being freshmen. And now all of our seniors and juniors, they're top dogs and they don't want to get to know anybody. And to where now we're, in our second round of this now with fall camp, we know everybody. Everybody knows everybody. There's nobody that's being, hey, I don't know who that guy is. No. We know who that guy is. I had dinner with him. I had lunch with him. Or we hung out and played the game together. So, and I think that's part of it, man. If you want to be successful, you got to glue up and you got to find ways to glue up. And Coach Ben does some really cool stuff. I mean, we went bowling as a team. That was a really awesome time. I know.
I heard you didn't break 100. Is that what I did?
Listen,
before we got, I did. I gotta ask you about that.
I didn't bowl. I am a bumpers only bowling guy, or I need the ramp that you can just throw the ball down. I'm a terrible bowler, so and I hate to lose. I'm super competitive. My wife knows this, so I would rather just not play. That way, I can't say I lost.
You can't be super competitive and suck.
Yeah, but so nobody knows I suck. That's the good thing. If you don't play, nobody knows. That's how you cheat the system,
Right.
So, but Coach Ben does a good thing with a lot of those guys, trying to get them around each other. I think this weekend we're doing a NCAA football tournament. Right. So just things to try to put them in situations where, hey, because especially offense, defense, the quarterback, he might not know who the heck that left defensive end is, or the offensive lineman, he don't know who that corner is. He never sees him. Even in practice, he doesn't see him. So it's important to try to get those guys together and make sure they all meet each other and become friends and gel up.
Look, they are doing a great job. I got more fist bumps today than I did all of July.
That's awesome.
So they're getting to know me as well from hanging around. So that's really good. Coach, appreciate you joining us. Again, I'd love to make this a weekly segment and have you in here in the dugout each time. And love it. You're welcome here anytime.
Awesome. I appreciate it. I love being in the dugout. This is a great experience.
There you go. Coach Cory York. The LCU Wildcats season is right around the corner, and you'll be able to watch it exclusively on 446 Sports.